John here, Real Hard Reviews, day 3 of CES 2020, and today we are with the Alphacool team.
Hello. So, first thing I'm going to show you is the enterprise solutions. So this is more for server side stuff, so probably not for your viewers so much, but some of the things in here are moving over to the end user now. So this is actually a system running 4 2080 Ti's, a 2 990 with so many cores and threads, it's mind-blowing. And we're running Cinebench and Octane Bench. And as you can see there, the load's 100% on everything. And we're currently running at 35 degrees. Oh, sorry, 59 degrees. And the max load we've had all day is 66. And this is running and rendering constantly. Now, the reason this is interesting, because the tubing and the fittings that we use in this, we're actually moving across to the B2C sector. And we're using it for the all-in-one units now. Now, the TPV tubing that we're using for this is kind of impervious to any acids, alkalis. It can go up to 150 degrees Celsius, and it's a lot more lightweight, and it doesn't kink as well. So it's a lot harder to kink. It looks a lot more subtle as well. And
is this bear a custom thing?
Yeah, this is how we're going to release it, because it's called the Ice Bear, because Germany, the Germans like the German names, and we're using Ice Bear. And we've actually upgraded the pump a little bit, so it's now 10% faster and it's a lot more quiet. So I know you're a little bit familiar with this yourself, and they're already quiet, but it's a lot better.
Love the fact you can refill it, everything else, as well as expand it with 6 watts.
Yeah, you've got the quick disconnects, and you can also get just normal fittings, G1 1/4" threads. You can change the tubing if you want, you can put hard line in if you want, you can do anything. These are going to be available at the end of this month, so I'll send one to you and you can have a play with it as well. And also, we've actually got new fittings, so I actually helped to design this. And if you undo it, it's got quite a long thread on it, unfortunately, and I'll put my hand here when things start falling out. So there is a method to why that's so long. So I don't know if you're familiar with with PETG tubing at all for the hard line. What happens at about 60 degrees Celsius, it actually gets malleable, and you can have some real problems with PETG. With this fitting, you've got a single O-ring inside, then you have an insert that goes in on the inside of the tube to stop it crushing, then you have a rubber one that goes on the outside and rather than having a single point of contact, it spreads the strip. So that means that the tubing can't get crushed as much. And it's really, really useful for PETG. You can use it with acrylic as well, because it's still not going to get any brittle. And I haven't tried it yet, but things like glass and brass tubing, we'll be able to use it with that as well, and it'll grip a lot more. And that can actually hold about 30 pounds of weight. Wow. So it's pretty good.
That's really cool.
Something that's unfortunately not available in Canada and the US is the Ice Bear LT.
But it's so slim.
I know, it's really nice. Unfortunately, there's patents, meaning that we can't sell it over here. You can order it separately, but it's still not great.
Are you the OEM behind this, building them as well?
Yeah,
or is this
so we're the OEM.
Not Aztec or anything?
No, okay. So Aztec have the patent, which means we can't sell over here. But we actually make these for other companies as well, so we're actually an OEM. So you might have seen this from Be Quiet, their silent loop. Yep. So we actually made their products for them, and we've always also done like Fractal Design and Cooler Master as well. So we actually, even though we're not like a everyday brand, not many people know about us in like the US and Canada, it's actually, we do a lot of stuff for people. Yep. So I'll hand this back to you, because you've got something really nice to show. Yeah.
All right, so is this new for CES? Can you show X-Wing here?
This was actually done for a case modding competition with Cooler Master, I believe it was.
Oh, okay.
And it's a scratch build competition, and this was done by a group called Random Designs. It's a husband and wife team, and they do some crazy stuff. So this is actually 3D printed, about 1,200 hours of 3D printing. Oh, wow. It's got about 250 parts in it. You've got like little servos, so the BB-8 turns his head. It actually has things built in, like the water cooling inside. Oh, so you've got the reservoir inside.
Love the carbon fiber under that.
Oh yeah, and you can even open the top to see the CPU cooler and the motherboard and everything. So this is some serious modding talent.
Oh, definitely.
And this all packs down into like a little crate as well, so that we can ship it around. And it's really cool.
That definitely is. All right, looks like we got a bunch more stuff down here.
So as you mentioned already on the all-in-one unit, it's expandable.
Yep.
One problem that we do have though is GPU blocks
Yes.
are hard to cool. You've got to have a GPU block, then you've got to do the custom cooling thing. Instead, we've actually made this one.
Oh.
So this is actually an all-in-one for a GPU, and we use the exact same blocks as we do for our custom cooling. There's no difference at all. So that block is that block, and this is what we use for our standard custom cooling. All we've done is taken these three screws out, put on a pump terminal and the tubing, and that's an all-in-one unit then.
The RGB on it looks stunning too. Is it down the whole bottom?
Yeah,
or?
so it's the whole length at the bottom, and it's all 5 volt addressable RGB. This comes in 2 flavors. We've got the Plexi with the RGB,
Yep.
and we've also got the acetal. And the acetal is my personal favorite. It just looks really sleek and
It's got some weight to it.
Oh yeah, I love
Wow.
that block. That's what I'm going to use, I think, at home. So yeah, these are, again, you're using the TPV tubing.
Yep.
You've got the quick disconnects. You've got in the future we're actually going to put an OLED display in it, but I'm not sure when that's going to happen. It's probably going to be in the future.
So you can just add this to any Alphacool loop that you've already got going, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be an Alphacool loop.
Yeah.
You can even buy these separate, and you can use it with our competitors. We try and not sort of keep you in our ecosystem with anything. The addressable RGB, we use standard 5 volt connectors rather than like using proprietary ones, because we want you to be able to choose. There's no point in locking you in with us, because that's not what customers want.
That's good to hear.
Another new product for here is the Ice Becker Aurora. So this is actually quartz glass, and rather than acrylic.
Wow.
And quartz is a lot clearer than like borosilicate, which is what most people use and what we were going to use. You've got multiple ports and with flush ones on top, so that they don't stick out anymore.
It doesn't blur the color at all too. It's just super crystal clear.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you look at anything else that's acrylic, you got that blur to it.
Yeah,
It does
exactly.
look very nice.
And this one fits a D5.
Okay.
So it's completely pump res combination. And we also have it in a 250mm version.
Already on the pump.
Yeah, so this one's already connected to the pump.
Well, it looks great.
We're actually changing the pumps as well. So we have the VPP 755 pumps as our like bread and butter pump.
Yep.
We produce these in house. They're all done by us, and we had a problem a couple of years back with a series of them. So we're now going to release a new one, which is perfectly fine. We've had them running for about a year already, and we've had very few returns. But we're changing the name of them to like the Ice Pump Revolution, because we want to move away from the bad times, as we say.
What's the price point on the new pumps?
New pumps will be the same as the old pumps, so I think they're like $68 or something. And it's the same with everything. What we're trying to do is, instead of releasing something new and boosting the price up because it's new, we're actually keeping the price point the same, but then reducing the price on our older products.
Okay.
So like the Ice Bear will be the same price as the old Ice Bear, but we'll reduce the price of the Ice Bear to like 10%, 15% or something, so that we don't need to make more money on it. It's not really cost us more to make, so
that's good
we
to
don't
hear.
want to take this money.
No one complains about savings.
Oh, of course, yeah. CPU blocks, these were actually announced at Computex, but we also had some other crazy stuff at Computex which overshadowed these, unfortunately.
That is a ton of copper.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's full copper, nickel-plated copper with the plexi top. Again, we've got the ARGB, and these fit all major sockets, AMD, Intel. The big boy in particular we use on like the X299 chips. I use one on my 7980XE, and this thing works really, really well. I'm not sure if you do much custom cooling stuff.
We do a lot of aftermarket cooling for CPUs and stuff, and we're just going to be covering GPUs actually for 2020 heavily.
Nice,
so
nice.
It's a good time to look at Alphacool
Yeah,
products.
exactly. Yeah, I'm happy to send it sort of to you, and you can have a play for sure. This is a little bit of an understated product. The actual
Flow
product,
indicator?
yeah, it's just a flow indicator, and we've got flow indicators already. But the difference is with this one, on the back we've got a little connector, and this actually goes to CAN bus, but we're going to call it ICE bus. And the thing with this is it means you get stats from it, so you can get things like your temperatures, your RPM. Yeah. And for this currently, it sounds a bit boring, but in the future we're going to be able to use this with the graphics card, we're going to be able to use it with the CPU. So in theory, depending on how we can do it, you can code it to, if your graphics card hits a certain megahertz, you'll be able to spin the pump faster, or you could code it to make it so if the flow rate reduces, turn on another pump. You know, you can do loads of crazy stuff.
Especially if silence is key and you got your backup pump in there. That's great.
It's kind of like having a far more controllable PWM. Yeah, it's it's completely down to you what you do. Another product, which this is a bit boring. I know you've seen RGB strips.
People love RGB, so.
But the difference is, if you feel this is a difference, it's rigid and it's 2.5 millimeter thick.
That's tiny.
It's really hard to tell because the lights are so bright. It seems to add width to it. Yeah. But once you have it in your hand, it's so small.
It's like the size of 2 quarters.
It's so small.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm gonna break it. Yeah. It actually feels quite durable though.
You can bend it as well. So it's not actually it's not too bad. And one of the things we're doing with this is we're releasing it with some rubber bands, just some small rubber bands, so you can put it on the back of hard tubing and have this shining through. You can cut it at certain areas as well, so like every couple of inches you can cut it, and with it bending you can actually bend it along the tubing as well, so if the tube's got a 90-degree bend, you can actually bend it with the tubing.
Oh, that is
so cool. These are pretty nifty. I like these. These are releasing probably at the end of Q1. Most stuff's Q1, Q2.
Will those be available in North America as well?
Yeah, these will be everywhere, and they're going to be cheap. So around about $20 US, something along them lines.
Very reasonable.
Yeah, try and keep it as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
Finally, we have a look at the phobia stuff. So this isn't actually Alphacool, but the guys that work for Alphacool also own this as well. So it's kind of. It's a little bit of an incestuous industry.
I never actually knew you guys owned a phobia. That's awesome.
So it's not us like Alphacool entirely, but it's the same people behind some of it. So the way I always see phobia stuff is kind of like a more of a budget way of doing things. So instead of copper, like we use everything that Alphacool uses, it's all copper, and the only thing we don't use that's copper is on the thread on the radiator. That's brass because copper's too soft. Whereas this is aluminium with a copper base and then a separator to stop the fluid touching that. And they're not expandable. You haven't got the snazzy TPV tubing. It's a bit cheaper tubing, but all that is. Them savings are passed on to the customer. Definitely. And this is where it works nicely.
And they're still addressable RGB. They still look nice.
This one is my favourite. It looks really nice. But the reason we're showing this one off, it's not lit up unfortunately, but it has the Phobia logo on. So what we can do with this one is it's really good for OEM stuff because we can put somebody else's logo on it really easily. And that's kind of what they want as well. They don't want a really expensive all-in-one. They want a cheap entry market level one. And this is what we do for them.
Very fair. Is this all we got from Alphacool this year? It looks quite impressive.
We've got some mods, but that's And we've got Mod Water, which is one from our partners at Mod Mods.
All right.
They're a US-based company, and they're actually doing their own fluids now.
Based and they're safe to use in any of your systems?
Yeah. Perfect. So these are really nice stuff. The mods, actually, this one's done by Mod Mods themselves. This one's called, I think it's Gone Fishing, which I really like. And then this one's by Performance PCs, so the guys over there. So they're all in the US, these ones are. But that's one of my favourite reservoirs we've done. We've done like a ball reservoir that we announced at Computex, and that took all of the thunder from all the CPU blocks and the GPU blocks. Wow. Which is why we brought them here again.
It does look great.
Oh, it's fun to play with. It brings some really, really interesting sort of ideas that you can do for mods. Like I wouldn't just get one and just turn it into like a Death Star or something.
That's a good idea,
So I need to do something with one.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for covering everything Alphacool and Phobia with us.
Thank you very much.
Great products this year. Thank you. Bye.